I'm better off if both of us are off the hook, if both of us can see that we've made mistakes but have not committed sins, because we're more likely to correct that and move on. Now, if I had a nickel for every single person who's either come to my office or house or on the phone and have said, I can't believe how the people around me have changed because I've changed my mind, I could retire. I could retire to Florida if I had a nickel for every one of those. And it is because we give signals to each other, big, constant, all-encompassing signals. And when you take that condemnation off of both you and that person, things will mysteriously be different. How they're going to be different, we don't know, but they will definitely be different. Do you think that's exciting?
Very. Mm-hmm.
And something that has been going on for decades can stop. Not because anybody tried to fix anybody, but because I decided to see myself and the other person differently. I just decided to have a different perspective on this. Yes, ma'am.
Carol, I know how saint-like this
Please.
Yeah.
I mean,
Saintly.
I have watched her. And what just doesn't quite feel measured is like if you had to put this on a little meter, she would go, unkind. And then there's this other person
Please.
that's going, unkind. You know, I mean, it doesn't seem like that little thing she would have done twice
It doesn't seem to
would cause the revolt.
Well, I'll tell you.
And I think it's right. I just can't get the.
Well, here's how you get this, is that because much of the self-condemnation is like the 9/10 of the iceberg that you can't see. In other words, much of this is a basic, undifferentiated sense of I'm not okay, I'm not deserving kind of thing. In other words, it's not tied to specific people, to specific instances or things like that. And a lot of times we aren't even aware of it, or if we are, we kind of toss it over in the corners of our mind like, oh, well, you know, what I think about myself doesn't really matter. So something like that can reference a fundamental stuff that's built in before we're even verbal sense that I'm not okay. And that's where you might say the magnitude of somebody being unkind comes from. It's not being equivalent to her action, it's being equivalent to something she believes and hangs on to still at a very deep level. It's an excellent question because a lot of people think that. It's like, well, I might do this a little, but my protagonist over here, their errors are this big and mine are on, and it's not only observing someone else's, but ourselves will say, well, I might be a little bit like that, but not like that. You know, I'm not nearly that bad. And it's an interesting perspective, you know, that's sort of from within my own concept of myself perspective.